Where'd my friend go? He's up getting another drink. Fucking perfect. Make it a double. Just for fun. You guys, let's keep this thing rolling. Keep the applause going. Coming to the mic right now, Mr. Bryan Preston.
Thank you. Yeah, so I've been having a really weird past couple of weeks in my life, right? The first weird thing that happened to me, this guy, he sends me a message on Facebook, right? And he's like, hey, it's like you're my brother from another mother. I'm thinking to myself, that's kind of weird. I don't really know you that well. And then a couple weeks later, I found out that was just his polite way of saying my dad abandoned his family in '79. But I don't know, it's been kind of shitty lately. I've been on, like, my girlfriend and I, we went on a break, right? And I don't know, she gave me this list of grievances or whatnot. It was kind of terrible, right? Because the first thing she says to me, she's like, hey, it's like living with a 14-year-old. And I'm thinking to myself, I've had a life full of rich experiences that a 14-year-old never had. I mean, seriously, I saw Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey in theaters. I mean, you find me, a 14-year-old, that can say that, and I will show you the world's worst time-traveling 14-year-old. And then the other thing, and like the reason she said that, right, is because I love to play the video games, right? And honestly, what I said to her was like, that's really not that big of a deal. I can always turn it off. I mean, if I was that interested in the video games, right, I'd just go find some dude on Xbox Live, because you know what? He would appreciate the fact that I could get a triple kill while I was getting blown. I mean, seriously, he'd be all like, I can't believe you sniped all those guys while I was working your shaft like that. I mean, seriously, and also, thanks for the heads up on the dipping your balls in the Papa John sauce, bro. It's like there's these fucking garlicky nuggets of flavor just in my fucking mouth. But I don't know, we had some other, shit going wrong there, right? I mean, like, honestly, we had some issues with ambition, because what you always say to me was like, hey, we have kids, I want to be a stay-at-home mom. And I was thinking to myself, hey, you know what? I always thought I was going to be Batman when I grew up, and I just put a very large down payment on a cave. So frankly, that's just not going to happen. And that was part of the problem. Although I will say this, like, if I did, do someday have a kid, the one thing I am not going to do, and they do this in a lot of countries, I'm not going to eat the placenta. I'll tell you why. Not because it's gross, but because I'm afraid it is the most delicious thing in the world. And I just don't want to be that guy hovering over the dumpster at Planned Parenthood. I mean, seriously, but it wasn't... God, I fucking love you, Brad. But, like, the other thing, and it wasn't for anything, like, and there were no sexual reasons for it, because ladies, I'll just tell you this much, my two favorite things are cunnilingus and changing myself. But, because, like, I always hear comedians go up there like, hey, ew, girls on the rag, whatever, ew, icky, gross. Never had a problem with that. Because I look down, I see the blood, you know what I think to myself? I just pretend that I am fucking gigantic. And the other thing, though, is like, and it's not like, like, I'm not a career premature ejaculator or whatever, but I do have a great way out for you guys if that actually does happen to you. You just look the girl dead in the eyes, and you say to her, I'm sorry, you are just too beautiful. Whatever. The only problem, though, is that, like, she tried the same thing on me once. Because, like, I know, right, I do have no game. So, like, the only problem is she turned that around on me once, because I was like, hey, let's try anal. And she was like, I'm sorry, but it is just too big. But no, I'm not trying to get you guys in the wrong impression here. It's not like I'm fucking Johnny Anal on the spot or whatever, but, honestly, I love the puss. I'm all about it, right? I like to think about it like a fine fucking steak, you know what I mean? But the problem is that you eat that fine steak every night, and eventually you start thinking to yourself, I would love to fuck that cow in the ass. God, Brad, we are connecting tonight. The other thing, it's just, I don't know, it's weird. The whole thing of it was just kind of weird, right? Just trying to get back out there and shit. Because, like, the first 2 weeks of it, you're like, okay, I'm free now. This is awesome. Your buddy calls you up, he's like, hey, I got an 8-ball and a case of beer that says we're playing Rock Band till 5 in the morning. Then a month later, you're sitting there in your fucking underwear, depressed, eating a burrito. The only thoughts that you have are, how did I get so much fucking rice in my pubes, man? I mean, seriously, it looked like Jerry Garcia fell asleep in a plate of Indian food. I don't know. And then, like, unfortunately, or what have you, you know, we did actually break up, right? And it was just weird trying to get back out there and whatnot. Because I go with a friend of mine, right? And he's like, hey, meet me at the bar. It's going to be cool. And this girl comes up to me, and she's like, hey, it's my friend's 21st birthday. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, hey, do you know that I saw Britney Spears 6 times on this tour this summer? And I was like, okay. And the weird thing about it, right, was just that I thought to myself, I just felt like Mel Gibson in Lethal Weapon, because when I drink, I turn into a gigantic anti-Semite. Alright. I don't know. Like, honestly, I thought I'd be more broken up about it, right? Because I remember when I was a kid, you know, I was growing up in the grunge era as a twerp. And the one thing we always do, it's like, hey, you get up in the morning, and you just act really fucking sullen. And if you're not sullen enough, like, you get one of your friends to punch you in the dick. And then I thought about it for a minute. And I thought what really changed between then and now? High-speed internet pornography. I'll tell you what, because, like, does anyone remember dial-up pornography? I mean, seriously, think about it. You know what I'm talking about, buddy. Because they'll be sitting there, and you're like, alright, 30 seconds. We have got the top of a boob. Another 45 seconds go by, and you're like, alright, we have, dare I say it, 75% of a nipple. And then another minute and a half go by, and you're like, you know what, fuck this, I'm just gonna go beat off to Chrono Trigger. But it's weird though, because like making a reference like that kind of dates me and shit when I go out to a bar. Like I'm honestly afraid I'll go up to some girl. Like yet again, like the girl was all like, hey, I love Britney Spears. I'll go up to and be like, hey, I would love to gleam that cube. I mean, seriously, I would pay a king's ransom in Hawaiian milk caps, or pogs as you young people call them, to get with you tonight. And dare I say it, much like Parker Lewis, I cannot lose. But I don't know, man. I don't know. There's some rough shit, but one thing always brings me back into it, right? I know it's going to sound a little bit cliche, but it was this quote from Dr. Martin Luther King that I think about, you know, every time I think about it, right? I just like to share that. And y'all know what I'm going to say, right, when I say it. But I just want to reiterate the quote to you guys from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I can't believe those fucking crackers shot me.